Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind.
It's Sunday, it's 9 o'clock, and that means it's time for Financial Literacy with your host, Hubert McIntosh, CPA, a member of the Society for Financial Awareness, a 501c public charity corporation.
Good evening, good Sunday evening to you. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're having a good Sunday, Memorial Weekend Sunday. You're enjoying it with family and friends. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA and a member of SOFA. SOFA, the Society for Financial Awareness, with one mission: to help eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. Yes, and I have joined with SOFA to bring it to this community so we can help eradicate financial illiteracy. 2.5 years ago, FINRA did a study that 74% of Americans were financially illiterate. And we are hoping to dispel that percentage in this community. So that's why we're bringing you this program. This is Sunday evening, and yes, we are in Sunday school. So I would encourage you, get your pen, get your paper, because we're going to be sharing some insights with you. And we'd encourage you to take some notes. Some of it may be for yourself, some may be for a family member, a loved one. But we are continuing with the theme that we started on Mother's Day. Yes, Mother's Day, we started a special show. And please keep in mind that all the shows are recorded. So if you go on the website, there is a link where you can get the past shows. Financialliteracy.info. Financialliteracy.info is the website. You'll see a link there to get the previous recordings. You'll see a link for Facebook. Yes, we have a Facebook page. You can go on there. You can check us out. And if you don't mind, like the page. Because when you like the page, it will help the search engine where people will find us. So we encourage you not to keep us a secret, So the website, as I said, financialliteracy.info. So we are on with you every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. But you have 24/7 access to us. Yes, I've created the website, financialliteracy.info, that you can go on there. You can ask questions. You can make comments. We've also created an email address. You can email us, support@financialliteracy.info. support@financialliteracy.info. You can send us your questions. You can send us your comments, whatever is on your mind, or even provide us with your feedback. Share with us the things that you would like us to share with you, because the purpose of this is to serve you. And if we're not sharing things that you want, then it becomes self-serving. So help us to serve you. So on Mother's Day, we started with a special program. It says Investing Basics for Women. And some of the feedback that we have been getting is that, why is it different? But I think we shared with you what are some of the differences regarding we're investing for women. And if you missed any of the program, as I said, you can go on there and you can check it out. And if for whatever reason you don't find it, we have a number for you also, that you have 24/7 access to me. 754-366-7311. 754-366-7311. So if If there's any questions, if you even need a copy, if you didn't even know how to find it and you need a copy, whether it's a CD, whether it's an MP3, we can send you CD, we can send you an MP3, because as I said, our goal is to serve you. So on Mother's Day, we did Investing Basics for Women. Last week, we followed it up with women approaching retirement and beyond. Yes, women, but we did not finish. There are a couple of points that I want to make before we go into tonight's program, because tonight we're going to talk preparing for long-term care. That's tonight, preparing for long-term care. And to follow up with that same theme, next week, June the 4th, we're going to be speaking about Social Security Explained. Yes, there are confusions there. There's confusion about Social Security. There's confusion about preparing for long-term care. And these are the myths and the misconception that we hope to clear up with this program. So thank you again for joining us. As I said, I've created a phone line. You can call us 754-366-7311, 754-366-7311, and we'll get back to you. If you don't get me right, then you leave a message, and I promise you I'll get back within 24 to 48 hours. You can email us, support@financialliteracy.info. support@financialliteracy.info. You can go on the website, financialliteracy.info. Check us out, okay? Make comments. So, in continuing from last week, where we left off was that there's some confusion again. And here's the thing, and you have heard me use that word so often, confusion. And it's not an accident, because confusion is what causes illiteracy. Because a lot of times, if someone does not understand something, they just don't bother with it. And what that does, it just increases illiteracy. So that's why we have this program, to clear up some of that illiteracy and that confusion. So retirement distributions. So what's one of the confusion with that? People are saying, well, when I retire, you put a number to it, because as I've shared with you, it's a personal economic model. One person may retire at 65, another person may retire at 70. So it's not a one size fits all. And another person may not even retire at 70. Another person may retire later, whether by choice or not. So let's just assume that the person is retired. We're going to choose a number, 65, 70, whatever the number. You just choose a number. The number is not significant at this point. I just want you to get the concept of what we are talking about. So people believe that when they retire, their income is going to be less, so they don't have to worry about taxes. And that part in itself is a little bit challenged. Because when we retire, most of us have lost our primary deductions, because while we are working, we have deductions. We have deductions that can help reduce our taxes. We have mortgage interest if we own a home. We have property. We have property taxes. We have, if we're even working, depending on the kind of job you have, sometimes you have employee reimbursement expense. So there are different things that we have as deductions while we are working. But when we retire, a lot of that will be gone. A lot of it will be gone because, no mortgage interest deductions. The kids have hopefully left the house. And I know, yes, that's not really funny as such. But what happened is when the kids are there, depending on their age, when they are younger, we have child tax credit, we have child and dependent care expenses. So these are some of the deductions that have gone. So a lot of times our distributions, where if we may have had a pension, or we may have saved some money in a pension, whether it's a 401k, IRA, and so forth, or we were fortunate that we work at a job, whether it's a governmental job where you're getting a pension. So if you don't have any deductions, all of these distributions are going to be 100% taxable. So that's a question that we have to ask ourselves then, depending on what the pension is, because someone says, well, you won't have any tax problems because your income is going to be much less. Yeah, but what if you have a pension and you're drawing down a certain amount of income, and plus you're getting Social Security? So in some situation, because you're getting income, whether it's a pension income, stuff like that, then some of your Social Security income will be taxable. And these are the stuff we're going to clear up on June 4th. Mark your calendar. On June 4th, we're going to talk about Social Security. It's going to be Social Security Explained, because people are of the mindset that Social Security is tax free. You don't have to pay any tax on Social Security. And the answer to that is it depends. So these are some of the stuff we're going to clear up regarding Social Security on June the 4th. So mark your calendar for that. So if this is your situation where you're getting a distribution and your distribution is taxable and it could put you in a higher tax bracket, do you actually know the tax implication? And that is why it is necessary for you to have a professional to guide you there. The next thing we wanted to talk about, estate planning. I started on this last week because there's some confusion there also regarding estate planning. Because people are thinking and people are believing that, well, I'm not wealthy, so I don't have an estate. And I started last week by pointing out to you that is a myth. Having an estate has nothing to do with wealth. It has nothing to do with wealth. The purpose of estate planning is to orderly distribute one's asset and possession to one's designated heirs. So what does that mean? If you have certain assets, whether it's $100 or $100,000, wouldn't you prefer to know that that money is spent how you would have liked it? And yeah, that is the reason for estate planning. Another one is avoiding probate. Oh my gosh, I can tell you, there have been some miserable and horrible stories regarding probate. Because if you did not make the proper plan, yep, the government is going to plan it for you. The government is going to plan it to you. And that is why I'm here to encourage you. No matter what your estate is, no matter what your assets are, make the plan to how you want it. The next one, many of us may not have any risk with estate tax because currently the estate tax is on over where if your assets are, your estate is greater than $5.5 million. And that's the current law. We don't know if that will change or if that will be permanent. So not many of us will have that problem dealing with that. But in terms of estate planning, there's some basic tools. There's some basic tools that you need. A will. Yes, you need a simple will. Because what a will is doing, a will is telling the authorities or those that you have left behind that this is how you would like your assets positioned. So that's the importance of the will, because you're letting someone know what your desire is. Then you have the upwards of the will now, a living trust. A living trust is good in the sense, like in Florida, if your assets total more than $75,000 when you die, then your estate will have to be probated. Because what probate means, and sometimes people have not even thought about the meaning of it. Probate simply means the proving of a will. And you may like, yeah, but it was my will. I created. Why does it have to be proven? Here's the thing. What if you created a will every month? Yeah, you could create a will every month. How will the authorities know which one? Because the proper name of a will, even though sometimes we don't use it that way, the proper name of a will is the final will and testament. Yeah, final will and testament. But a lot of times we just shorten it and we call it a will, but it really is a final will and testament. So when your will is presented to the courthouse, then they're not sure if this was your final will. So if the assets are under 75,000, yes, you would be able to settle it up at the courthouse. You just file for it there. Your beneficiary or the person that you left to take care of your estate. But if your estate is greater than $75,000, then that's when it will be necessary that an attorney, because an individual cannot it's called a formal dissolution. An individual cannot do that if the assets are over 75,000. You need the assistance of an attorney. So I want to encourage you with that. And one of the purpose again for the wills and the living trust is so that specific assets to your beneficiaries. Because sometimes an individual, say even grandma, and since we're talking about women, we continue to talk about women. So let's talk about grandma. Grandma may have 5-6 grandchildren. And she may have some assets, whether it's furniture or whatever. She may even have some jewelry. And here's the thing. Grandma wants every grandchild to feel good. So guess what she says to them? Oh, Susie, I'm going to leave this for you. She says this to Johnny. Oh, Johnny, I'm going to leave this for you. So before you know it, Grandma has promised all 6 of her grandchildren these assets. Do you know what happens? Grandma passes away, and this is not communicated. This is not in black and white. Do you know the family quarrel that started? Because here it is now, all 6 grandchildren are now saying that grandma promised me this, and some of them is even remembering the date, and they're saying, well, grandma promised me this on that date and blah, blah, blah. And then a big family squabble ensure. So that's one of the things where it's important that you take care of those final documents. And part of this also is managing your risk, life insurance. So back to grandma again now. So here it is now, grandma may have life insurance. And if it's not properly designated, this in itself again could start or continue the family quarrel. So I just want to point those things out to you. Managing, next one, in retirement, in terms of retirement. No, this is not debt. No, this is long-term care. And this is going to lead up to the topic we're going to be talking about tonight. Long-term care insurance. And let me give you the proper definition of it, because sometimes we misunderstand what long-term care insurance is. Long-term care insurance is a type of insurance that gives people a way to cushion themselves and or their aging relatives from the financial stresses of long-term care. Yeah, so what that is saying is that it's an insurance. Long-term care is an insurance, just like you may have a car insurance, just like you may have health insurance, legal insurance, homeowners insurance. Yes, it's a long-term care insurance, because what this is saying, if grandma or grandpa have to go into a long-term care facility, then this insurance will cover it, And coverage sometimes maybe temporary at home help. You have some long-term care where it will take care of the elderly person. And here it is, I'm saying elderly person. But do you want me to let you know that sometimes long-term care, it's not even for the elderly person? Because it can happen to any of us. Long-term care, basically long-term care is saying that when we cannot do two of the activities of daily living, and that's no respecter of person. Sometimes you'll have a 30-year-old who cannot do two of the activities of daily living. You may have a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old. So sometimes I'm saying the elderly, and it's not necessarily so. So long-term care coverage can be temporary. It can be in home where based on the benefits, it could be where a nurse come to the home, or it could be where it's in a facility where it will pay in the facility. Whereas sometimes long-term care can be permanent, and it's not practical for mom, dad, grandma, grandpa to be at home, because here's the challenge. Yes, we may feel well and good, and we says, well, we want mom, we want dad, we want grandma to be at home. But here's the thing. If they cannot do two of the activities of daily living, who's going to take care of them? Who's going to take care of them? And these are some of the stuff that we have to consider. Long-term care insurance. It's also this great confusion out there, whereas, how do you shop for it? How do you choose? Because what you have to choose, coverage, what type of care? What type of care is covered? What type of care is not covered? So you see the confusion continues. What type of coverage? Then the next part, benefit period. The number of years the coverage lasts. It can be a set number of years. It can be 5 years. It can be 3 years. It can be 6 years. Elimination period. Okay, how long before the coverage starts? Inflation rider. So these are the things, whereas it may have an inflation rider, it may not have an inflation rider. I've spoken to you before about inflation, where something that cost $1,500 1 year, but because of inflation, the buying power has decreased. So the confusion continues. So what's your next step in thinking about, and women, ladies, I'm speaking to you. We'll get to dad. We'll get to dads in June, but this is you we're speaking to at this time. What's your next step in making these plans? We've spoken to you. The first step, you have to be honest where you are now and where you would like to be with respect to your time frame. Because you cannot make proper planning if you don't accept where you are. And that's just a key that you have to accept. And if you're honest with yourself, then you can make plans accordingly. Next part of that, you have to educate yourself on your options. Yes, you do have options, but if you don't educate yourself, how will you know your options? Develop a strategy to help you achieve your goals and plan. Because if you don't develop a strategy, what will happen here is the sense that you're just winging it. You're just winging it and hoping that you can sustain it this way. So I would encourage you not to do that. Develop some kind of strategy. And how do you do that? You need to consult with knowledgeable advisors to help guide you. There are many great advisors out there. Just evaluate, just search properly. Don't just take an advisor because your friend said this person is good. Interview that person and see if that person is thinking on your line, Are they thinking on your behalf? Stuff like that. You got to be careful because a lot of people are self-serving. So you got to be careful about that, okay? And you have to evaluate your progress. As you go, you implement a plan, you have to evaluate it. Don't just implement a plan and just leave it. If you just leave it, you don't know the progress. You have to evaluate your progress. And as you evaluate your progress, you can adjust. You can adjust accordingly. Because here's the thing. It is necessary. It is very necessary to inspect what you expect, because a lot of times if you are not inspecting what you expect, then you will just fall for anything. So it is very imperative that you evaluate what you expected. So I just wanted to touch on those things because we left off last week and those were items that we did not clear up, and we just wanted to bring it to the forefront so that you guys can think about it. So the clock on the wall is telling me that I got to take a break. So I want you to stick and stay with us. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. We're going to take a short break, and then on the other side of the break, we're going to go into long-term care. So just thank you. Stick and stay with us. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. Thank you for sticking and staying with us. We are going into the second half of the program now. We're going to be diving into long-term care. Yep. Last week we spoke about it. We continued on the first part of the show by finishing up women approaching retirement and beyond. One of the critical factor in retirement, especially for women. Especially for women. I did say it. Long-term care is going to be necessary. What is long-term care? Long-term care is provided individuals requiring the services of another to assist with physical needs over an extended period of time. So basically what that is saying, anytime we reach to that stage where we cannot perform two of the activities of daily living, then that's the classification for long-term care. Whether you have it in an insurance, where sometimes you could have a long-term care insurance, sometimes you may have a life insurance that has a long-term care rider, so this is what is required, where it says that the definition is when someone has a chronic illness which impedes them from doing two of the activities of daily living. And this can be it can be short term, which is a few months, or it can be a permanent basis, because sometimes an individual may not be able to do two of the activities, and that can be just a temporary situation. So those are some of the stuff that we have to consider. Long-term care is it's basically comprised of a wide range of services, wide range. On the lower end of the spectrum, these services include help with housework, meal preparation, grocery shopping, making appointments, pet assistance. Over those with chronic illness or disability can receive assistance with personal hygiene, dressing, eating, using the bathroom. So just a lot of variation. You can also receive services in a variety of settings. Caregivers can come to your home. Depending on your situation, you may require someone at your home part-time, or even in some cases 24 hours. Your situation may require you to live in an assisted living facility or a nursing home. So what I'm here to show with you that either of these options are expensive. Expensive. Currently, 80% of seniors require assistance with activities of daily living and are receiving care at their home. While that may be the case, we have no idea if we'll wind up in that 20%, because nobody knows. You don't know where you're gonna fall in that spectrum. So it is very imperative that we prepare for it, because the question that we'll have to ask ourselves: will you require long-term care? Without a crystal ball, it's hard to know. It's a tough question. It's a very important question. Will you need long-term care? You ask that question, will you need? It's difficult to say. It is very difficult to say. But on average, 70% of people over the age of 65 require some type of long-term care assistance during their lifetime. So you think of that number, 70%. That's 7 out of 10. That's 7 out of 10. And of that percentage, roughly 40% require care in a nursing home. So some people may require the care, but they can be at home. But sometimes the chronic illness is just a little bit more demanding, and it is necessary that they are in a nursing home or a assisted living facility. So we'll take a look at some of the factors that contribute to the likelihood of needing long-term care. So thank you for staying with us. It's Hubert McIntosh, your CPA and a member of SOFA. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. Remember, we're with you Sundays 9 to 10 p.m., but you have 24/7 access to us. Yes, 24/7 access. You can visit us on the web, financialliteracy.info. financialliteracy.info. And when you go there, yes, we have Facebook. You can go straight to Facebook there. You can like us. And when you like us, it will help us with the search engine. Don't keep us a secret. Because the same way we are providing this education to you, it part of SOFA, in that we're striving to help eradicate financial illiteracy. Share us with other people so that we can also have the opportunity to educate them also. Because if we spread this word together, then we may be able to help eradicate financial illiteracy. Okay? So the website, financialliteracy.info. You can email us, support@financialliteracy.info, support@financialliteracy.info. You can also call me directly, 754-366-7311, 754-366-7311. Thank you. So, as we continue to talk about long-term care, you're more likely to need long-term care if you're living alone. Do you know how many seniors are living alone? There are so many seniors living alone. So first we have to consider age. We may be young and full of energy today, but 30 years from now, that will be another story. That will be another story. The natural aging process includes, muscle and bone loss. These are the things, as humans, these are the things that's going to happen. Simply put, we are not going to remain, sprucey forever. Another factor which could cause long-term care is basically our living situation. Yeah. Are we living alone? I mentioned it earlier. You're more likely to need long-term care if you're single and living alone. Your extended family also plays a role. Very critical. Will you be able? Oh, and this is almost meddling, but this is one of the things we are seeing daily. will you be able to rely upon your children to take care of you? Will you? And each of us has to ask ourselves. But here's the truth of the matter. Sometimes it's not even that the children don't want to. Sometimes it's not that they don't want to. Sometimes they just can't. Sometimes they can't afford to. They're not prepared financially. So the question is, would your family be able to support the burden of provide long-term care assistance? So it's a challenging topic, because they may want to help. But financially they are not able to. So the question you could be asking yourself then, they could stay with grandma. They could stay with ma. Yes, but what happened to their expenses? What happened to their expenses? As a caregiver, so are they going to give up their job? So here it is now. So ma don't have any money and the child don't have any money. Do you see the challenges that we're talking about? These are very difficult questions, but they're also very important. So you have to stop and think, are you going to have to rely upon yourself in retirement? Then, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. You cannot just fly by the seat of your pants. You just cannot. So ladies, remember the theme. We're still talking to you. We are still talking to you, ladies. We're still talking to you. You had the distinction of living longer than males. But do you know that also has a double side effect? Yes, it has a double side effect. Yeah, so as I'm saying, the double side effect, because you had the distinction of living longer than male. But here's the fact of the matter. The older you age, albeit gracefully, yes, you're aging gracefully, it's the more likely that it is that you will require assistance. It will. We have spoken about a lady, a Jamaican lady, who now has the distinction of being the oldest person in the world. She's 117 years old. And this lady gets up. She takes herself out of bed every day and she puts herself in bed. And she's 117 years old. But let me tell you the reality of that. She is an exception. She is an exception. How many 100-year-old person, whether it's male or female, is going to be able to take care of themselves? Let's be real. Let's be real. And remember, I shared the statistics with you. I shared the statistics with you that by 2050, there will be 4 million centenarians. That is people who are more than 100 years old. So this is something that's facing us head on, So what does it require? It requires you to build more savings and evaluate more comprehensible insurances, because insurance is one of those things that can help mitigate. It can help mitigate some of these problems. Because sometimes we cannot save enough to mitigate the problem. But if we have proper insurance, sometimes that insurance can help mitigate the problem. So I want you to look at that. The longer, it's just a fact. The longer you live, the more your retirement cost will be. That's just a fact. That is not that is not just an opinion. It's a fact. So what else? What else is one of the other factor? Lifestyle. Our lifestyle also is a contributing factor. How healthy are we? Do you exercise? A poor diet and sedentary lifestyle increase our chances of requiring some type of assistance. our overall health contributes to the necessity for long-term care. If we suffer from a chronic illness or develop one later in life, we will need care. We will need care. I know sometimes it is very uncomfortable to consider, but we have to face reality. We have to face reality. Let's be honest. As we age, our overall health will deteriorate. It will. If we're not planning for needs beyond and beyond making ends meet, then we don't have a full financial. We need a plan. We need a plan. We're going to have to figure out some way to building savings, prepare for whatever the future may hold. And this is the time to do it while you're capable, because the mere fact that you're listening to me now, it's an opportunity that we have where we can take care of it. We can work towards it. We can work towards it. So it's just one of the things that we have to deal with. It's not one of those things that we can just sweep under the rug. We cannot sweep it under the rug. We cannot sweep it under the rug. So I encourage you, right now, some of you may even be dealing with long-term care issues for a friend or a loved one. Others among you may want to consider adding long-term care into your financial plan. Regardless, it's important to completely understand your options in the range of care available. There are many resources available online, and those should be used to help build your understanding. Yeah, if you're seriously considering long-term care, SOFA, as you know, I'm a member of SOFA. SOFA is a Society for Financial Awareness, where our goal and hope is to help eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. SOFA, if you go on SOFA site, sofausa.org. SOFA is a 501c3 public non-profit corporation. SOFA recommend talking to a financial planner or an insurance agent. Yes. Service and support varies from person to person and can change over time. So I want you to be aware of that. So just because Miss Mary said to you that she got this for that or got this, Miss Mary's situation may be different from yours. Yeah. Miss Mary's situation may be different from yours. There are issues, there are issues surrounding our estate and health benefits that will have to be taken into consideration, because we have estate, we have health, and I've shared it before, and it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, but I'm not. Long-term care is complex. It's a very complex topic, but with the right counsel, you'll be able to identify an option that's suitable for your needs. So I encourage you, don't stick your head in the sand. Please don't stick your head in the sand. There are assistants. There are assistants out there. So let's talk about this before we start running out to financial planners. So let's take a look at some of the issues surrounding long-term care. I'm sure many of you are curious how much money will be needed. Yeah. Let's take a look at some of the basics. And I'm just giving you some of these statistics so that you have an understanding. In 2011, the average annual cost for a private room in a nursing home was $87,000. The average annual cost for a private room in a nursing home 2011 was $87,000 annual. So let's break that down then, because you may say, oh my gosh, Hubert, you're telling us annual. What is that? 7,000. 7,000, approximately 7,300, something like that. Just over $7,000. And that was in 2011. The average cost for assisted living was 41,000. 41,000 for the year. 41,000. That's about $3,500 a month. Think about that, $3,500 a month. Remember, and next week we're gonna be talking about Social Security. So I just don't want to be a doom bearer, but I have to let you know the facts. Because if a long-term care facility, if an assisted living facility can cost $3,500 a month, and people are not even getting that for Social Security. So imagine someone getting $2,000 for Social Security. Just say they're getting $2,000, $2,500, even $3,000, and the assisted living facility costs $3,500, and the Social Security is $3,000. As high as that, and I can tell you right now, most people not getting $3,000, but just use $3,000 for this calculation. Then how will that person pay? How will that person live? You know, if you require home health care, those costs is your home health care now. The costs range between $11 and $150 an hour. Yes, even at the national average of $23.75 per hour, home care could cost $190 per day. Look at that, home care. And someone may be thinking, well, I can just be living in my home. If that is costing $190 a day, if we calculate that over a 30-day period, do you realize that's $5,700? You know, what if it gets worse? If you require a licensed nurse. If you require a licensed nurse, you could pay as much as $432 a day. Do you guys see? Do you guys hear? $432 a day. I know it's a very depressing topic. It doesn't excite me to be sharing these statistics with you, but we have to be real. We have to be real. And these numbers that I'm sharing with you, these numbers, they can vary from region to region. Okay. So the cost alone should be enough for any of us to commit a little more thought to long-term care. You know, as we start to think about long-term care, we have to ask ourselves some very important questions. We have to ask ourselves these questions. We have to. For instance, where are you going to retire? Where? Have you thought about it? Have you thought about where you're going to retire? We have seen costs vary throughout the country. Have you looked into the cost of long-term care for where you intend on settling down? These are topics that we have to think about, because sometimes we're just waiting for it to happen without thinking about it. You know, are you saving enough for retirement? Are you saving enough? Are you committing more than 10% of your income to saving? If so, how much of that is dedicated to building a retirement fund? These are tough questions. Are you considering factors such as your health and decreased mobility? Remember now, the health is different from the long-term care, because you can have long-term care separate from health care. Because what is happening, remember, long-term care is the inability to do two of the activities of daily living. Yeah, it's just the inability. It didn't say about healthcare. Healthcare is another subject matter. Wow. Another one. I have a family member going through this right now. What about the degeneration of our cognitive abilities? Sometimes we don't consider these things because we're just thinking, well, oh, the person will be able to do will be able to do the activities of daily living. But that person can look so healthy. But what about the cognitive? The mind may not be there. Alzheimer's, dementia. These are just scary topics, but we don't have to put our head in the sand. We can make a plan. You know, have you heard someone say, the older I get, the more I forget? Think about that. The older I get, the more I forget. Listen, I know thinking about getting old isn't high on our to-do list. It's a topic that sometimes we would rather not talk about. You know, it's very uncomfortable. It's even more uncomfortable to imagine ourselves infirm. You know, we cannot, we're ourselves. So you're thinking about getting older, but then to think of ourselves that we as individuals cannot do these two activities of daily living. Sometimes it's a hard thing for us to face. But this is our future. This is our future. You know, it is our future. You know, if we're not going to prepare for it now, when will we? When will we? Think about that. If you're not prepared to think about it now, when will we? Okay? All right. So let's do a little short exercise. Close your eyes. Right? Your eyes are closed. Now imagine yourself 10 years in the future. Imagine it. If you're having trouble picturing yourself, think, if you don't want to think of yourself, think of an older cousin or sibling. Think about the characteristics you share and how those characteristics translate to what you look like 10 years in the future. Are you doing that? You doing that exercise with me? All right. Now think of 20 years. Let's think of 20 years in the future. The same thing. Try to imagine somebody who may represent what you look like tomorrow. Now let's take a look. Take a big jump now. Let's go 30 years in the future. Look to your parents. What you look like to them. What you look like them. Okay? The goal is to imagine yourself in your 70s. Once you have your imagination of a 70-year-old itself in your head, I want you to imagine yourself. I'm just trying to bring reality to you. I want to imagine yourself using a walker. Is that a possibility? It could be. Now picture yourself trying to do everyday things like picking up the dog's toy or trying to read something high in a cabinet. If you're having trouble walking, you're going to have trouble doing those everyday activities. Open your eyes. These are your golden years. These are the years you have been waiting your entire working career to reach. Yeah. In these years, you want to maximize quality of life. In some cases, you may need assistance in achieving your maximum quality of life. But we have to start asking ourselves, are we prepared to deal with these costs? Are we prepared? We have to ask ourselves. We have to ask ourselves. We have to ask ourselves. You know, we cannot put our head in the sand. In some way, shape, or form, each of us faces the real possibility of requiring some time of assistance as we age. I can tell you right now that Social Security will not accommodate an $87,000 annual expense for long-term care. I already told you that. Are we going to speak on Social Security next week? Some of you may think Medicare will help you to meet this financial need. Unfortunately, you'd be mistaken. According to the National Health Policy Forum, who commissioned a study on long-term care, Medicare is aimed to cover acute, notice the word acute, and post-acute medical care for people age 65 and older. It didn't say anything about chronic. It's acute. So what does that mean? This Medicare provides limited coverage for any type of extended care you may need. Medicare provides for care for immediacy. It's not extended care. So if that's what you're thinking, please don't go there. The Medicare will not cover extended care. Eligibility is based on a hospital stay at least 3 days and the necessity for long-term care assistance. 3 days in the hospital. Medicare will cover something. It will cover up to 20 days of long-term care assistance. 20 days. And it will partially cover up to 80 additional days. But after that, you're on your own. You are on your own after that. You're on your own. So these are just trying stuff. I just want to bring these things to your attention. I just want to bring them to your attention because it's not a very comfortable topic for us to deal with. But I just encourage you, do your homework. Time is up on us. The clock on the wall is telling me that I got to prepare to get out of here. So I just want to leave you with those encouragements. I know sometimes it can be a little bit discouraging, but the purpose is not to discourage you, but to encourage you. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for joining us. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. SOFA is a Society for Financial Awareness, focusing on helping eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. And I've joined with SOFA. We're here every Sunday nights, 9 to 10, but you have us 24/7 access. You can call me directly, 754-366-7311, 754-366-7311. You can go on the web, financialliteracy.info, financialliteracy.info. You can email us, support@financialliteracy.info, support@financialliteracy.info. So this is Hubert McIntosh signing out on Waves 1170. Join me every Sunday night, 9 to 10. Thank you for joining us.